Welcome back to Parasocial Therapy, where we explore the lives of others through interrogative snapshots and reflective discussion. Today we're speaking to Charan, a YouTuber and creative from southern India, aged 25. Question 1. Charan, who are you? Where are you roughly from? And do you see yourself as having a goal in life? Charan answers, I am a 3D artist who specializes in procedural workflows. I am based in the southern part of India, and I speak the language Telugu. My main goal is to be able to do what I love without worrying about finances. As for long-term goals, I'll keep those to myself for now. Question 2. You mentioned wanting to do what you love without worrying about finances. Do you have an image for what doing what you love, in quotes, could look like, regardless of specific goals? Charan answers, yes, for me, doing what I love, in quotes, would look something like solving a problem and ending up with a procedural tool that I can share with the world. It could also be collaborating with people who get what I do, or even solo projects that people find useful or inspiring. It could also be learning to be a better artist, because I consider myself to be very technical. Question 3. You mentioned being very technical, enjoying problem solving and wanting to grow more as an artist. So that makes me wonder, do you feel a tension between the technical side of your work versus the expressive or emotional side? And if there is a tension, or a desire to lean more one way or the other, how do you resolve that? Charan answers, so far in my art journey, I've always enjoyed being technically strong in the field I work in. The tension I feel usually leans towards wanting to grow more as an artist. I dabble a lot into different mediums just to see which would help me improve as an artist. Weirdly enough, my brain often treats artistic ability like a technical challenge. Take color theory, for example. While people say you need an eye for color, I believe it's something that can be learned just like any other technical skill. It might not be true for everyone, but approaching it this way has definitely helped me get better at choosing colors. I'd say that some color combinations have started to feel intuitive for me, which is something I never thought would happen when I first started. So I would say approaching the artistic side with a technical mindset kind of helped me. Question 4. You mentioned enjoying collaboration with people who get what you do, in quotes. Have you managed to have that kind of experience with other creators yet? What does the ideal collaboration look like to you? And if relevant, how do you find those people? Charan answers, oh yes, I've been lucky to surround myself with people who share similar interests. I've collaborated with a couple of friends who needed my experience in proceduralism. For me, an ideal collaboration is when they already know if I'm the right person for the job and can clearly explain what they want the final output to look like. Of course, communication styles vary depending on the person, but so far, every collaboration I've been part of has been clear about what they needed, and I've always delivered. My circle knows I'm good at one thing: procedural shading and modeling. Discord has been a huge help in finding people who share that interest and speak the same technical language. Question 5. Putting your affinity for collaborations aside, let's talk more about the solo version of yourself. Is there something you feel like is holding you back in your own work? Charan answers, yes. Working solo, especially when I'm trying to create something new, I often find myself stuck. Asking for help has usually been more about getting reassurance that I'm on the right path, rather than about the actual work itself. I've recently come to terms with the fact that I struggle with perfectionism. There are several projects sitting on my hard drive that might never see the light of day, not because they aren't good, but because I'm not happy enough with them. Looking back, they're solid tools and ideas. They are novel, and I've put a lot of time and energy into them. But the more I work on a project, the more I start to see what it could be, and the scope just keeps growing and growing. It doesn't really stop until I hear from someone I trust telling me that it's enough. That kind of validation helps me to let go. Question 6. I've heard a lot of similar things from artists in our shared communities. On that matter, do you remember the last time you actually managed to push through the perfectionism and release something on your own? If so, what was it? How did it feel? And is that something you're striving to recreate? Charan answers, yes, the last time I released something on my own was my product called Tile Factory. It's a tool I worked on for over a year and a half, on and off. Even in the final week before release, I made a huge decision to change how the entire tool was supposed to be used. Originally, I planned to include 12 tile patterns. Then I thought, why not 15? That quickly turned into 20. And even then, I wasn't satisfied. I wanted to push it to 25. It just kept growing. Thankfully, my friends stepped in and told me, this is enough. They reminded me that I can always come back and update it later. That outside perspective really helped me to draw the line and finally put it out there. I was so happy once the product was out. I also realized that there is no such thing as perfection once I released the product. I theoretically understand this, but it's hard for me to put it in practice. But once I practiced it, I understood that it's a roadblock that I can get better at dealing with more time and experience. Question 7. I understand that this may be a difficult one to answer, but taking a moment to look in the mirror, as you just did, what steps will you take going forward to try and stop yourself from falling into the same trap all over again? Don't worry if you can't find an easy answer to this, as I'm sure it's something that people listening to this are also struggling with. Charan answers, going forward, I want to be more intentional about setting clear goals, like defining what version 1 actually means, and just putting it out there once it's done. I've noticed I tend to share a lot of ideas with my friends while I'm still working on something, and then if I don't hit all those ideas, I end up not sharing anything at all. So I've decided I'm only going to share the work I've already done, and not what it could be. That takes off a lot of pressure and helps me avoid falling into the same loop all over again. Question 8. To switch things up and move away from perfectionism, let's talk about inspirations. What kind of people, or work, has inspired you in both the long term and short term? Charan answers, I get inspired by all sorts of things. Something I see in real life, a scene in a movie, or a conversation I have with a friend. Arcane, for example, totally changed my brain chemistry. The painterly style, the mood, the animation, everything about it makes me want to level up my own skills. The people around me are a huge source of inspiration too. The tools my friends build and put out into the world really motivate me to finish and share more of my own work. I have an amazing friend who's a character artist, still early in their journey, but their drive and curiosity to learn are honestly contagious. It pushes me to keep growing in the areas I care about. Another friend is chasing a degree in something they're passionate about, and seeing that level of commitment is incredibly motivating. I also follow a bunch of artists across different mediums on social media and ArtStation. Their work constantly fuels my creativity and makes me want to push further. To name a few of these inspirations, Cornelius Damrich, a 3D artist, Raphael Rao, from Silverwing VFX, a shading artist, Marco Bucci, a multimedia artist, and my friends Curtis, Ben, Azra Reyes, Jacob J. Holliday, and Erindale. Each of them inspires me in different ways, whether it's the depth of their craft, the way they think, or just the energy they bring to what they do. Question 9. For the wider creative community you're part of, what's something you wish more people understood? It could be a mindset you found helpful, a piece of creative philosophy that gets overlooked, or maybe just something you wish someone had told you earlier. Charan answers, something I really wish more people in the creative community understood is how common imposter syndrome really is. With so much amazing art constantly showing up in our feeds, it's easy to feel like you're not doing enough, or not good enough, and honestly, some days it just depends on the side of bed you wake up on. The same content that inspires you one day can totally demotivate you the next. And now, with all the AI stuff happening, it adds another weird layer of doubt. A lot of artists I know are quietly wondering where they fit into all of this, but over time, I've come to believe this. The process of creating is more important than the final result. However messy it is, or at what stage it's in, that's where the real magic is. I've been reading Brandon Sanderson lately, and he puts it the best. Journey before destination. I wish someone had told me that earlier. Question 10. And now, to bring this session to a close, what is something that you want to make sure your future self never forgets? Charan answers, I've always loved teaching and sharing what I know in the little niche I'm passionate about, but somewhere along the way, the pressure to be a content creator started creeping in. So here's a reminder to future me. You don't need a perfect script to share what you know. You want to teach, you want to help, and that's enough. You will only get better by actually doing it. If you keep waiting to get it perfect, you will never post. And if you never post, you'll never grow. So just start. Let it be a little messy. You'll figure it out as you go. That concludes our interview with Charan. Parasocial Therapy is made possible by my patrons. If you want to support this project, you can sign up at patreon.com/CurtisHolt. You can find more information on my website at curtisholt.online. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.